start of our press conference due to some technical glitches. As you are aware, this is a press conference called by the Secretary General of Mdc-T to give an update on the events that are happening in the party. He has been flanked by the Harare province leadership led by Chairman Hore and his team. So before we go any further, I will leave you to Chairman Hore to introduce his team, and then we will pass over to the Secretary General MWONZORA to give his prepared speech. Then afterwards, there will be a question and answer session. If you've got anything that you may want to ask, there will be an opportunity after he has read out his speech. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Let me welcome you all to our press conference this afternoon here in the House. Sincere apologies for the late start. We were waiting for our fellow leaders to join us, but they are on their way, so they will join us in the middle, hopefully. And with us here, my name is Simon Hoggett, the Harare Provincial Chairperson. To my immediate left, I've got my Provincial Organizing Secretary, Raino Mashaya, and on the far left with me is the Acting Provincial Youth Chair, Albert Chidapa. And the other leadership who are seated behind you. Our main speaker during this press conference shall be our Secretary General, Honorable Douglas MDC-T. Without further much ado, let me invite the Honorable Douglas MDC-T to make the statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the Harare Province, Honorable Simon Owen, and all protocol observed, Mr. Raino Mashaya, our Organizing Secretary for Harare, ladies and gentlemen of the press, we welcome you to this press conference. And again, we apologize for the short notice, but we are very grateful that despite the short notice, you have been able to come. This is the first press conference that we are having at this premises after the second successful takeover or repossession of the Morgan Tsvangirai house. Last night at around 11:30, youths from the MDC Alliance came to the Morgan Tsvangirai house and using bolt cutters broke into the regalia shop and the saloon that is part of our property. The aim was to gain entry into the main building and take over the Morgan Tsvangirai house again. This is in spite of the fact that just a few days ago, the Harare magistrate issued a final order giving us possession of the building. This is the second time that these youths have attempted to take over our building. Only a few days ago, they came with bolt cutters and broke the front entrance door and the back entrance door using bolt cutters. We are saddened by these events. The attack last night was irresponsible and was thwarted by our alert security. We are saddened that the MDC Alliance, on the orders of G40, are exploiting the desperation of the youths to force them to commit acts of violence, lawlessness, and anarchy in return of ridiculously low sums of money and cheap liquor. We urge all the youths to resist this unlawful engagement. We have ordered our internal security to engage law enforcement whenever such unlawful attacks occur. This we do in order to minimize injury that will come with fighting. We call upon the MDC Alliance Party leadership to show respect for the bodily integrity of other human beings and to stop masterminding violence. We want to say to our brothers and sisters in the MDC Alliance that violence has no winner. As a Labour-backed party, we view these acts as the exploitation of the poor by the political elites. Most of these youths are taken from Bari, Highfield, Mufakose. We challenge those who are warned on abusing our youths to engage youths from Borodale, Mount Pleasant, Glenlawn, and other suburbs. However, we are not going to bend and give in to anarchy, lawlessness, and violence from whichever quarter, and we will resist the same by all lawful means. Those who want to engage us in violence are trying to engage us in a race to the bottom. We decline that invitation. The reason why these acts of violence are being perpetrated is simply to disturb our extraordinary Congress preparations. We are, however, happy to advise that our preparations are at an advanced stage. Our provincial nomination dates have been shifted slightly, but the Congress dates remain the 13th to the 20th of December 2020. We reiterate that these Congress processes are open only to members of the MDC-T party. Those who have joined other political parties or have been recalled need not come to our Congress. We, however, need to advise you that we have been taken to court by a group of people from the MDC Alliance Party who want to come to our Congress. The judgment in that case has been reserved by Justice Chinamora of the High Court. In the meantime, however, the decision of the National Council made at its meeting of the 18th of October that non-members are barred from attending our Congress remains in force. We reiterate the total rejection by the National Council of the plans by the G40 and their cousins in the MDC Alliance Party to try to force themselves to our Congress. The meetings that they are trying to organize countrywide are therefore of no force or effect whatsoever. On the national front, the party is perturbed by the levels of corruption in this country. We urge the government to take decisive action against corrupt individuals. We take note that the corruption has been a major contributing factor to Zimbabwe's economic downfall. To that end, the fight against corruption must admit of no holy cows. We must be prepared as a nation to be cruel, to be kind. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Senator MWONZORA. Now to the press gallery, if there are any questions pertaining to his speech, I think what we can do is three of us can announce your name with your media house, your question, and after your response, then the next three can we thank you. Is there anyone with questions? Yes, Blessed. Oh, sorry. You go ahead. I saw you standing, so I thought you were the good one.
Just my message relates to extraordinary conflicts. We hear that there is disagreement among the leadership over the Congress, and we also like to the fact that there are some who think that the country is still battling with COVID-19 and therefore unwise to go ahead with your Congress. I wanted to ask if there is a consensus in the top leadership of the party over
My name is Blessed Mhlanga, Art and Soul TV and Radio and Newsday. Now my question is, you spoke about corruption. Are you happy in the manner which the government of President Day is tackling corruption? And that in the past few weeks or so, the huge number of people brought to court
in acts of corruption involve the police, the Central Intelligence. Does that worry you? That mostly the people in the president's office and the police are the ones who are being fingered in this corrupt activities. And then lastly, the ZANU-PF has cancelled its conference in December, citing that there might be problems in terms of fighting COVID, and also suspended by-elections through government because of COVID fears. What are the chances that the extraordinary Congress will happen? Thank you.
Anyone else for your response?
Oh, thank you very much. The decision to hold the extraordinary Congress was a decision made by the Supreme Court of Zimbabwe. And on the 9th of May this year, the National Council of the party met and authorized the party leadership to organize the extraordinary Congress. So to that extent, there was consensus as at the 9th of May 2020. On the 18th of October this year, the National Council set again after the Supreme Court had given new dates or new deadlines for holding of the extraordinary Congress, and first of all approved the dates of the nominations and the dates of the Congress. So this is a collective decision made by the National Council. And once the National Council has made a decision, no official from this party can change that decision. So there is consensus that that is what the National Council has said. And any comments regarding whether it is appropriate, whether it is right or not, are individual comments. But the official position is the position of the National Council. There has to be an extraordinary Congress to put to rest the leadership question. Remember, the reason why there was the court challenges that were made is because a Congress had not been held in terms of the constitution of the party. So the official position right now is that the extraordinary Congress is going ahead, unless, of course, it has been stopped by a lawful process. Coming to the issue of whether under these circumstances of COVID, it is possible to hold an extraordinary Congress or a Congress. I think that there are some countries right now where there is COVID who have done their elections. I think the United States is going to have its elections very, very soon. Is it not tomorrow? Yes. And there are ways that can be employed to mitigate the risk of spread of the pandemic. But that is not to say that we are oblivious of this pandemic. It is real. And we in the MDC know it very, very well, because 8 of our members of parliament were affected by this disease. And I think we actually lost an official, though not a member of parliament. We lost an official to COVID and so on. So it is a real menace. And we will do whatever is necessary to make sure that people are protected. Blessed, thank you very much about the issue of corruption. As the MDC, we believe that corruption must be tackled in the most ruthless of manners. And that is why we have said we must be prepared as a nation to be cruel to the kind. Cruel to the perpetrators in order to be kind to the masses. Most of this corruption is done by top-ranking officials. And as you rightly observed, we have seen a disturbing trend where people who are from the highest offices are fingered in this corruption. But the sufferer the sufferer is the Zimbabwean person. I was reading some publication yesterday where the amount of money that we've lost to corruption is estimated at 76 billion US dollars since we became a nation state. and this is worrisome. And some of the corruption is committed at the expense of the poor people. As the MDC, we took action against the councillors who were fingered in corruption. First, some time ago, under Morgan Tsvangirai, we dismissed the entire Chitungwiza Council because they'd been fingered in corruption. We have had to recall councillors from Harare City Council because they were involved in acts of corruption. That is the decisiveness that is needed when we deal with the issue of corruption. So we are not happy that the government is treating corruption just like any other offense. We need to deal with this in the most decisive of manners. Now, you ask a question. ZANU-PF has cancelled its Congress, and therefore we must cancel ours. We are not controlled by ZANU-PF. The processes in ZANU-PF are processes in ZANU-PF, different from processes within the MDC. So we do not do things because ZANU-PF has done them. However, the difference is that our Congress has been ordered by a court of law. The ZANU-PF Congress has not been ordered by a court of law. So they can call it off just like that, as easily as that. But our process is more complicated. It involves the decision of the highest court of the land. The suspension of the by-elections, yes, the government has suspended by-elections. But the conundrum that the MDC finds itself in is that there is a court order that is at play. So we will have to act within the parameters of that court order unless that court order is valid. As you know, we actually went to court to ask for an extension. We were given that extension. And I'm not so sure whether the court will give us another extension. But the point is, the National Council decision stands until it is valid by the National Council itself.
Thank you, sir. Anyone with any question?
Yes, thank you. Blessed Mhlanga again, Heart and Soul TV and radio and Newsday. Just recently in Parliament, the acting president of your party, Madame Thokozani Kupe, said that she is going to negotiate with the President of Zimbabwe, President Emerson Mnangagwa. In your previous engagements, you have said that the party has not made a decision. It is open for dialogue under certain conditions. So I wanted to find out, is this the shared view that was expressed in Parliament by Dr. Thokozani Kupe? And has the demands that you were talking about been met already? And also, just last, you challenged your colleagues to bring in youths from Borodale to the activities that you're talking about. I've seen youths here at Harvest House, some of them who are doing security. Are these from Borodale?
Anyone else with another question before you respond? Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. No other question?
No.
What about the ladies? We are a gender-sensitive party, and please feel free in these premises. Well, first of all, Blessed, you asked the question that are the youths who are keeping security here employed here, youths from Borodale? No, they are not. The majority are not from Borodale. But we have employed these youths gainfully at these premises in the Department of Security, and we remunerate them. These youths that are being used to commit crime are being taken from the poorer sections of our communities in order to commit crime. And when they commit crime, inevitably, law enforcement catches up with them. So, what the point I'm making was that you see these big people, these big bosses, they are using other people's children while theirs are enjoying themselves in the comfort of their homes. That is the point we are making. And we are saying to the politicians, don't use other people's children as cannon fodder. Don't feed children with cheap liquor so that they commit crime. And when they are arrested, they suffer alone. What these people are trying to do is to employ poor people to fight against poor people while they are in the comfort of their homes. We are urging youth across the political divide to resist these unlawful engagements so that they do not fight against their colleagues. That is why here at Harvest House, we have given an order to our youths to say that when the unlawful attacks come, do not retaliate, but call the police so that law enforcement comes and we minimize the risk of injury. We are doing this as a responsible leadership and as responsible parents. Those who are masterminding these attacks live in Borough. Those who are masterminding these attacks live in Mount Pleasant Heights, Mount Pleasant, Glenlawn, and the other leafy suburbs. None of their children are being brought here to fight. So there is a difference there. The discussion that I think Madam Kupe was talking about, I'm sure you misunderstood that. She talked about the concept. She talks about the idea, the idea of dialogue. As the MDC, ever since we were formed, we have always been for dialogue. We think that Zimbabwe's problems can be resolved through dialogue. Rarely would the problems of this country be resolved through confrontation, acrimony, anger, and violence. So, yes, when the time comes, when the internal processes are done, and when our consultations are completed, you will see us calling for dialogue. We want dialogue to resolve the Zimbabwean question. And that is why we have said we welcomed the initiative by the South African government to try to get Zimbabweans to talk to each other. There is enough historical evidence in this country that most of the problems of this country, most of the big issues in this country have been resolved through dialogue. The Liberation War ended with the Longest House. The acrimony in the Gugura Hundi in Matabeleland. It was ended when the ZAPU and ZANU completed that unit accord and agreed on the cessation of hostilities. Of course, Gugura Hundi, we had to make a rider there. Gugura Hundi was a one-sided affair. It was not a fight between. It was not as if there was a fight that was happening. It was a one-sided affair, which qualifies the definition of genocide. But it ended, and there was a discussion that ended, that culminated in the signing of the unit accord. And in 2008, after the pestilence that happened, after Mugabe lost to Morgan Tsvangirai, we engaged in dialogue and to resolve the national question. So we will always be for dialogue. But of course, internal processes will be done, and of course, with the limited time that she had in Parliament, Madam Kupe would not tell you of all the steps that had to be taken, but simply of the end product. And I think there she was talking of the end product, and she is correct that we are prepared to dialogue to resolve the national question.
Thank you, sir. Anyone with any questions? I'm sure Dr. Mashagara prepared anything on the economic front.
We can ask any question.
Anyone?
Yes.
Your Dr. Mashagara has just walked in. Anyone with any questions directed towards him or the SG?
In fact, we have 3 members of parliament here. Dr. Mashakada, of course, the veteran. You know, Dr. Mashakada was in the trade union movement, and we shared an office when I was there as well. But we have Honorable Yvonne Msarurwa, brand new MP. She is now heading the portfolio committee, I think it is environment.
That's where we are coming from.
And that's where they are coming from. And we have Honorable Vincent Chandrai. We have Senator Pini Odenga from Mashonaland East. No newcomer to Parliament. He was a member of the 7th Parliament. So we have a rich representation here. So apart from the councillors that are here. So be free to ask any questions. Dr. Mashakana is here.
To Chairman Moyo of the Rand Province also, you're welcome to pose any questions. Well, you seem to have
Silence means contentment.
very true, sir. So if you got anything to say, if nothing, then we hold this press conference to end.
Yes, thank you very much. Just to emphasize that we are asking all political actors in this country to desist from inciting violence. And violence using other people, exploiting the unemployed youths. The youths need jobs. They need us as leaders to prepare for their future. And they must never be used as cannon fodder. And that is why at Harvest House, we have tried to exercise restraint, and there has been minimum injuries, even under the face of provocation. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much.